Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Well, I don't know about where you're at, but here in Ohio, it is sweater weather. And what comes with sweater weather is usually the holidays. And today we are here to sew up the holiday quilt Light It Up from Fort Worth Fabric Studio. So that's their newest mystery quilt. Today is week 1 and we're gonna cut up all of our fabric and we're gonna do one block. I'm really excited to get started on this quilt. We're gonna have this done by December 4th, so just in time to get it all done and plenty of time left to quilt it and get it bound for Christmas. So you can give this as a gift, you can keep it for yourself. It's gonna be great. I cannot wait to get started. I've already looked at the fabric. The fabric's beautiful. I just love it. And Fort Worth always does such a great job with picking their fabrics, and I can't wait to get started doing this one. So if you have just found this now and you are interested in sewing along, the patterns are always free, but Fort Worth Fabric Studio does sell a fabric kit to go along with their patterns. So the best way you can support them for giving us free patterns is to grab a kit, but they do know that not everybody can, especially this time of year, purchase a kit. So you can sew from your stash and you can go download the patterns. The fabric requirements are out today and the cutting instructions. Grab some fabrics from your stash and start sewing, or like I said, there's still some kits left if you want to go grab a kit from them. All right, well, let's get started. I'm going to show you all the cuts that I've made. I am a little bit behind because I did come back from a trip with a little bit of a cold. I was down for a few days, and so I'm a little bit behind, but I'm going to show you what I cut so far, and it's enough to get today done. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're supposed to cut is fabric A, which is our background fabric. This beautiful Toscana white here. Well, it's kind of a cream actually. It almost looks like grunge, which is what I thought it was at first. I just love it. It's really pretty. Now, this is the one that I did not finish cutting because I was really sick over the weekend. I really didn't get out of bed for almost 2 days. So I got a little bit behind, and so I will finish cutting this one before Monday, which will be the next blocks that we're sewing up. So I cut everything I needed for today's blocks. So that was these pieces here. And those pieces are, you need 2.5 inch by width of fabric strips for today's blocks. And you're going to subcut those into two 16.25. Let me double check that math just to make sure. Two 16.25 by 2.5 inch strips and 220.25. So that's for today. The other thing we need for today is we need one 3.25 by 6.75 and then two 3.25 by 5.25 strips. Okay, so that's all the white I've cut so far. I've got some strips cut so far according to the diagram, but I need to subcut everything. That's as far as I got. My husband is out of town this week, so not only being sick, but I have the kids all by myself, so I just have run out of time. But I will get it all cut for next week. So that's what I have so far. But I did get the fabric cut for the entire rest of the quilt, so let's go through that really fast. So the next cut that you're going to make is fabric B is going to be your plaid. This is gorgeous. What a classic, beautiful Christmas red plaid. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut 7 strips for your binding, which I've done right here. And then you're going to want to cut, let's see, oops, there's more strips. Then you're going to want to cut 2.5 by width of fabric strips, and you're going to cut 32 2.5 inch squares. So those are done. Then you're going to cut 2 3.5 inch by width of fabric strips, and you're going to subcut 24 3.5 inch squares. Now, what I do want to say about this one is I cut all of these, and I'm not sure why, but I was not able to get 2 of the squares out of the 1 strip. But there was plenty of fabric left over of this plaid that I was able to cut another piece from a scrap. So I had no problem. So just be really careful when you cut these. I don't know if I did something wrong. It could be just me. I just wanted you guys to be aware in case you had the same issue. But like I said, there was plenty of scrap, and I do still have some left over of this that if I would have been missing even one more, I still could have made another cut. So, like I said, not sure. I probably did in my stupor, recovering from being sick, I probably cut something wrong. So it's probably just me, but I just wanted you to be aware just in case. And then the next thing you're going to do is cut 2 3 3/4 inch by width of fabric strips, and you're going to cut 16 3 3/4 inch of the plaid squares. Okay, so I'm going to stack all these up. We're going to put those aside. Those are so pretty. I love this plaid. Okay, I'm really into plaids this year. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our black solid, and the black is the smallest piece. And you're going to want to take that and cut it into a 2.5 inch strip. Even it doesn't say that in the instructions, but that's kind of what I did. And then you're going to subcut that into 20 1.5 by 2.5 inch rectangles, just like this. So really simple. That was a fast and easy one. The next thing you're going to want to do is do fabric D. That is the filigree red. And you're going to cut 2 4.5 inch by width of fabric strips. And from that, you are going to get 10 4.5 inch by 7.5 inch rectangles. Let me grab those. So that's these, and that used every bit of those strips. There really wasn't any scrap left over, not usable scrap. And then from the remainder of the red, you're going to cut 2 7.5 by 3.5 inch rectangles. So these guys here. And then you're going to cut 2 13.5 by 2.5 inch rectangles. So what I did for this one, for these pieces, the width of the fabric strip that they gave us was wide enough to get both of these pieces side by side. So I cut this one 13.5 length of the strip, and then I cut the strip in half and got my 2.25 inch strips from that. So if you were running the yardage, say these were first, although not really, but say these were first, I was able to put these like this, cut a 13.5 inch piece, and then cut that in half, and I got these two pieces. So that's the way I did that. And then you're going to get 2 3.25 inch squares. So that's our red filigree. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our green filigree. It's beautiful. I love this. You're going to cut 10 4.5 by 7.5 inch rectangles. Isn't that a beautiful color? This is just a really nice rich green. I love these fabrics. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut from fabric F, the poinsettias, you're going to cut 4 4.5 inch squares. So this is what I got. Some of them I was able to get like the whole poinsettia, which was really neat. That one has more of the pine cone focus. So 4 of those. Okay. Then we're going to cut from the black holly 4 2.5 by width of fabric strips. So that's these guys right here. And then you're going to cut 2 3.5 inch by width of fabric strips, and then subcut out of that 16 3.5 inch squares. Then you're going to cut 1 3 3/4 inch by width of fabric strips, and you're going to cut from that 8 3.25 inch squares. So all those guys there. Okay. All right. And actually, did I have that backwards? Yes, I had that backwards. Sorry. That was the 3.5. And that was the 3 3/4. Sorry, I mixed those up in my hand. I was like, wait, there's more of these. Okay. Anyway, fabric H is your cardinals, the white cardinals. And that you're going to need 2 6 1/4 by 7.5 inch rectangles and 2 4 3/4 by 7.5 inch rectangles. Now for your cardinals, when you're cutting these, make sure the 7.5 is the width and the 4 3/4 is the height. And then on these cardinals, same thing. Make sure the width is 7.5 and the height is 6 1/4. If you want your fabrics to go directionally the correct way, make sure that you do that, that the width of these is the 7.5 and the height is the other dimension, okay? I know I am directionally challenged. I'm OCD. I need my things to go the right way. So if you want these going the right way, make sure you cut them that way. Okay, and the last fabric we have is the white holly. And from that, you're going to cut 3.25 inch by width of fabric strips. And then you're going to subcut 12 7 by 3.25 inch rectangles and 4 3.25 inch squares. So here's my rectangles, okay? And then my 4 3.25 inch squares. So here's all the fabric again. It's so pretty. Do you guys love this fabric? I do. All right, so I'm going to look at what we need for week 1 besides this background. I know we need the background. I know we're going to need our cardinals. And I know there's something else we need, but I can't remember what. So I'm going to look at the instructions, pull that aside, and then we're going to start to assemble this first week block. So here are all the fabrics for week 1. So the cardinals I'm going to put aside for a second. This red strip I'm going to put aside for a second. These red pieces I'm going to put aside. And the first thing we're going to work on are these background rectangles, these squares, and these long background pieces I'm going to set aside for a minute as well. So I'm going to put all this fabric aside. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these background square, or these red squares, I'm sorry, and we're going to attach them to this piece right here, this background piece. Okay? It's going to end up looking something like this. I mean, it looks kind of convoluted right now, but it's going to look sort of like the top of a package because, as you can tell, we are making a gift. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab a pen and I'm going to, or a friction pen, and I'm going to mark the back of these where I need to sew, because we're going to sew right on the line. And we're sort of going to make like a flying geese unit to make this present. Or the top of this present, I should say. I haven't made a gift block in a really long time, so this is going to be fun. Okay, so they're not going to be touching because we're going to be using our 6 3/4 inch piece for this. These ones are 5 1/4, so don't use those ones. Use the 6 1/4. They're not going to be touching right here in the center, or overlapping, I should say, so I'm going to sew them both at the same time. So I'm not even going to cut my thread there. I'm just going to pull it out a little bit. Make sure this piece is still set where it needs to be. And then do this side. So you're sort of sewing this like a flying geese, but they're just not overlapping in the center like they would if you're making a flying geese unit. So now I'm just going to trim these 1/4 inch away. That's a decent size scrap if you're a scrap quilter. Okay. And I'm going to take this and give this a press. So are you guys excited for the upcoming holiday season? I am this year. The last few years, it was kind of, but I don't know. I'm really excited this year. My kids are excited. My youngest 2 children are a little bit older, so I think that they're really going to enjoy it this year. So I think it's going to be fun. I'm really excited to make all the Christmas things, so I'm really excited to do this quilt. Okay, so there we have that. Now what I'm going to do, since that piece is done, is I'm just going to add one of these background rectangles to either side of this. And again, I'm just going to sew both of them at the same time, and then we'll press it. All right, so those are attached. I'll go ahead and give this a press. This is just a concentrated starch alternative. Helps me get my seams nice and flat. It's not glue. I've had a lot of people ask me if it's glue. It's not glue. Okay, so there is the top of our gift. Really like that, it's cute. All right, so the next step, I'm going to set this aside for a second and put my pen away because I'm not going to need that again. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to get those cardinals. So cute. Love cardinals. State bird of Ohio. I'm right here in Ohio, so I'm excited for that. And we're going to make 2 of these units, so I'm just going to line them both up. The 2 smaller ones are going to be on the top and 2 larger ones on the bottom. And then we're going to grab the red that goes in between the 7.5 by 3.5 inch strips, and we're just going to attach those to that guy and then attach it to this guy, and we're going to do that twice. So let's grab that. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the bottom one too, and then I'll go back and do that one. And then we'll press both of these at the same time. All right. Now grab this one. Okay, got all those 2 done. So now we're just going to press these. What a fun, quick block. Okay. I'll give these a press. And the next thing we're going to do after you press these is we're going to attach the red piece, the long skinny one, that's going to put these two sides of this present together. Okay, so those are nicely pressed. All right, so now I'm going to grab this piece. I'm going to make sure those cardinals are going the same direction, and I'm going to just add those to this. Or I should say add this to the cardinal pieces. So do you guys like the cold? Do you not like the cold? I am not a huge fan of warm weather, and I'd forgotten how much I dislike super warm and humid until I went to Houston for a quilt market about a week and a half ago. Well, not only did I get a really bad head cold, but it was really hot. Not only was it hot, but it was humid. So I was pretty happy to come back to Ohio and cooler weather. And we're not really cold yet. We do get very cold up here. I live right off of Lake Erie, so it can get pretty cold. We can get some lake effect snow. We get wind chills right off the lake coming from Canada. My friend Stephen Bland of Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, he blows it across the pond for me. Just kidding. But it does get pretty cold here in the wintertime, but it's not that cold yet. But it's cooler, and it's the kind of cooler that I like, where it's still a little bit slightly warm during the day and there's sunshine, but it's cool at night. I prefer it cool to sleep, so I am really liking this weather. I am a jeans and sweater kind of girl, so I'm loving this. I definitely know that I would never want to live in Houston. Sorry to all you Houston people. It is a nice place to visit, and I probably would like it better to visit there in the winter, but when I was there, it was hot and humid. Okay, give that guy a press. Okay, now we can add that bow that we made, that cute bow in step 1, to the top here, just like that. This is really cute. I love that we were able to cut this cardinal fabric where we could see the cardinals, like in big pieces. That's so nice. Okay, Aw, you like this. Look, we have a present. Our first Christmas present of the season. All right. There we go. All right, so we've got the whole present done. The only thing left we have to do now is to add our white strips here along the sides. And so typically when we add strips, we add them to the left and right first and then the top and bottom. But due to the shape of this, because it's wider right now than it is taller, we're going to add the background strips, the shorter ones, the 6 1/4, to the top and bottom first, and then we'll add the longer ones, the 20 1/4, to the left and right sides. Okay? And I know you guys can't see all of that in the shot. I'm sorry. I don't have a camera that goes up high enough to show you the whole thing. But hopefully you get the idea. And of course, I will show you at the end what the whole block looks like. Okay, let's just check this really quick, make sure I didn't cut off the points to my bows, and I didn't, which is good. If you're worried about that, you can sew from the back side, and I should have thought about that before I sewed that, but that's okay, it came out all right. I thought about it when I was to the bow, now it's too late to already turn it over, so. But if you're worried about losing those points at the top of the bow, you can sew it from the back side and just sew one thread over from where those stitches cross. That way you don't lose your point there. Be ashamed to lose that cute bow. Okay. All right, got that bottom on. Just gonna give this a press really quick, and then we will attach the left and right hand sides, and we'll be done with this block. Okay. Oh, this is really cute. I love it. Okay, that's got the top and bottom on. Now I will just need to do the left and right side with these long strips here. So So that's all we're going to do is we're going to attach them to the left and right and then iron this and we'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will come back and I will show you my block completely finished. Well, thank you so much for sewing with me today. That was a fun, quick block. Here it is all done. I love it. It's so cute and I love this fabric. How pretty is that? Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see how this is going to fit in the quilt. This is absolutely gorgeous. Those cardinals. Oh my gosh. I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did, and I hope to see you next Monday. We're going back to Monday next week. This was just a way to kickstart this sew along off so we can get it done in time for Christmas. So I will see you every Monday from now on until December 4th. And then on December 4th, we'll do the final assembly, and then you'll be off to quilt it and bind it and get it done. Can't wait to see what's next because this week was a ton of fun. One more look at it. Woohoo! All right, guys, take care, stay safe, have fun sewing, and have a great week. Bye!